Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Oh, absolutely. Always ready to jump into something new.
Well, today we're going to tackle something that I think hits home for just about everybody, facing challenges and, finding the strength to keep going when things get rough.
Yeah, that resilience, right?
Right.
How do we deal with the curveballs life throws at us?
Exactly. And to help us explore this, we're turning to a talk titled Ladder of Faith. It was given by Elder Larry S. Kacher, a leader in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And just to be clear, while the source material is from a religious context, the insights we'll be unpacking. They apply to anyone, no matter what you believe or don't believe.
That's the beauty of it, right? It's about how we all navigate those tough times and the role that faith, in something bigger than ourselves plays in all of that.
It's a universal experience, facing hardship.
So true. Have you ever felt like life just keeps throwing you those curveballs one after another? How do we stay strong in those moments, even find joy when things are tough? That's what we're going to explore today.
Kacher starts with a powerful story about a couple, Carolyn and Doug Tebbs.
Oh, I think I remember reading about this. This is heartbreaking.
They tragically lost their young daughter, Jenny, in an accident. Imagine the pain of that.
Losing a child, I can't even fathom it.
And they were in the middle of a move, starting a new chapter, everything fresh and exciting, and then boom, this unimaginable loss.
So they were at this crossroads, right? Be consumed by the grief and the anger, or somehow find a way to...
Not just survive, but to actually grow stronger in their faith and closer to each other.
And incredibly, they chose the latter. It's amazing how resilient the human spirit can be, finding strength in the darkest of times.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah,
Choosing to believe that something good could come from such a horrible situation.
that's faith in action, isn't it? It raises the question, for all of us, how can we apply that kind of resilience to our own lives? Maybe it's not losing a child, but maybe it's facing a job loss, a health crisis, whatever life throws our way. How do we tap into that inner strength?
That's the key. How do we choose faith over despair when it would be so easy to just give in to the why me mentality?
Oh, I know that feeling all too well. It's easy to get stuck there.
Absolutely. But Kacher offers a different perspective. He quotes Joseph Smith, who said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that all these tough things, all these trials, they give us experience, and ultimately, they're for our good.
Okay, but how do we wrap our heads around finding good in hardship? Sometimes things just feel plain bad.
It's about the lens we're using to view things, right?
Mhm.
Instead of asking, why me? What if we asked, what can I learn from this?
How can I grow from this experience? Okay, yeah, I can see that.
If we can connect to the belief that there's a purpose, a meaning, even if we don't fully understand it yet, that changes our whole experience.
It's not about denying the pain or pretending everything is okay. It's about choosing to look for that potential for growth, even in the midst of difficulty.
Precisely. And this brings us to Kacher's central metaphor, this idea of a ladder of faith. He suggests faith isn't static, it's a climb. We're always making choices that move us up or down this ladder.
I love that visual. It resonates with me because it's not about having all the answers, never having doubts. It's about choosing to keep moving forward even when we're not sure where we're going.
Each rung on this ladder, then, represents a deeper understanding, a stronger connection to that source of strength we're talking about.
So maybe we start with a simple belief, a sliver of hope, and through our actions, through facing challenges, that evolves into something much more profound.
Kacher emphasizes a crucial shift in our thinking, moving away from what do I want toward what's the greater purpose here.
That's a tough one. Most of us, let's be honest, we're pretty focused on our own desires, our own plans.
Of course, it's natural. But what if surrendering to a larger purpose, trusting in something bigger than ourselves, what if that actually led to a deeper sense of fulfillment?
Okay, now you've got me really intrigued. But how do we even begin to make that shift? How do we go from me-focused to embracing this larger purpose?
Well, that's where action comes in. Kacher quotes James, "Faith without works is dead," meaning it's not enough to just believe, we have to act in accordance with our faith.
Walk the walk, not just talk the talk, right?
Exactly. It's about aligning our actions with our beliefs. He contrasts two figures from the Book of Mormon, Laman and Lemuel, who doubted and questioned everything, versus Nephi, who declared, I will go and do.
So it's that action fueled by faith that makes all difference.
It's a powerful cycle. And if we go back to Carolyn and Doug Tebbs, their faith didn't mean they just sat around waiting for things to get better. They actively served others, building a foundation that honored their daughter's memory.
Their actions were a testament to their faith, weren't they? And that's a key takeaway for all of us. action fueled by faith creates this incredible momentum.
It's like taking that first step, even if it's small, and trusting that it will lead to something bigger.
Sometimes, though, even that first step can feel overwhelming.
I agree. And that's actually a perfect place to pick up when we come back. We'll delve into some of the challenges and complexities of aligning our will with a larger purpose.
Okay, so aligning our will with a larger purpose, that's where we left off. And I've got to say, it's a pretty intriguing idea, but also kind of daunting.
Oh yeah, no question. It's definitely a deep concept. No easy answers here. Kacher brings in this other idea from Elder Neil A. Maxwell, and Maxwell said that true happiness, real happiness, it's found when we align our will with, well, with God, with a higher power, however you want to phrase it, and anything less than that, well, you get lesser results.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. How do we even figure out what that higher purpose is supposed to be? And what happens when it clashes with what we want, with our own desires?
That's where surrender comes in. Letting go of the ego a bit, that need we all have to control everything, and instead, trusting that there's a greater plan, even if we can't see the whole picture right now.
So it's about faith, but it's not just blind faith, right? It's about actively seeking that alignment, that sense of purpose, and trusting it leads to something better, even if it's not what we initially had in mind.
Exactly. And Kacher shares this really compelling story about the McCormick family. He was trying to help this man, Ken, find faith, but Kacher's own efforts, his own agenda, it wasn't working, like hitting a wall.
Sounds like he was trying to force it, make it happen on his own terms.
Yeah, and that's where we get stuck a lot of times. But then Kacher changes his approach. He lets go of his own will, that desire to control the outcome. And instead, he just becomes an instrument, letting God work through him.
So what happened? Did it work?
It's pretty remarkable. This guy, Ken, after 21 years of resisting, has a total change of heart, gets baptized, and later, he and his wife are sealed in the temple.
Wow, talk about a transformation. It's like that saying, let go and let God.
Exactly. It highlights the power of surrendering to that higher purpose, right? It reminds us that sometimes those big breakthroughs, they happen when we get out of our own way.
Okay, so far we've got choosing faith over despair, the importance of action, and this concept of surrender. Where does that leave us on this ladder of faith, this climb we're talking about?
Well, Kacher leaves us with some powerful questions. Prompts, really, to help guide us on our own journey.
I like that. Give us something to ponder. What are some of those questions?
He asks, am I stripped of pride? That one always gets me thinking. Pride can be such a sneaky obstacle,
Oh, for sure. It's like we're trying to climb that ladder with a backpack full of ego. No wonder it's so hard.
Exactly. All that extra weight just makes the climb so much harder.
Okay, what's the next question Kacher poses?
Do I give place in my heart for the Word of God? I like to think of it more broadly, though. Giving space for wisdom, for guidance, however that comes to you.
Yeah, that makes it relevant for everybody, no matter what your beliefs are.
Right. It's about being open to that wisdom that might come from outside of ourselves. Intuition, a higher power, whatever you call it. Quieting the noise and listening to that still, small voice inside.
Cultivating that space where we can receive that inspiration. I like that. Okay, what else does Kacher ask?
Do I allow my afflictions to be consecrated for my gain? That one's especially poignant given the Teb's family story, don't you think?
It's deep, yeah. Seeing our struggles not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth.
It's a shift in perspective, right? Instead of, why me, we ask, what can I learn from this? That's powerful.
It takes away that victim mentality, puts us back in the driver's seat, even when things are rough.
Finding meaning and purpose in the midst of pain. That's something everyone can connect to.
Okay, hit us with the next question.
Am I willing to let my will be swallowed up in the will of the Father? This one, it's about surrender, big time.
That's a tough one for a lot of people, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's at the core of true faith. Recognizing that there's a wisdom beyond our own, a plan that's bigger than our immediate wants.
It's like saying, okay, universe, I trust you. Lead the way. That can be scary, though.
It can be. Letting go of control is never easy, but it's also incredibly freeing.
Because then we don't have to have it all figured out. We can let go of that burden.
Right. Surrender to a higher power. Trust that we're being guided, even when the path ahead is unclear.
What are the last couple questions on Kacher's list?
He asks, if I have felt to sing the song of redeeming love, can I feel so now? It's about holding on to that hope, even when we're surrounded by doubt and despair. Remembering that even in the darkest times, there's always light, there's always love. We just got to choose to see it.
And the final question.
Do I let God prevail in my life? This one feels like it ties everything together.
It's about making a choice to live by our beliefs, not just think about them.
To not just believe, but to act, to surrender, to trust. Let our faith be the driving force in our lives, not just something we do on Sundays.
So this ladder of faith, it's a pretty personal climb, right? We're all on our own path.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it. Each of us has our own unique ladder, our own pace, our own challenges, our own way of connecting to that something bigger.
What matters is that we just keep climbing.
And that we remember, even when we stumble, there's always grace, always a helping hand, and always a reason to keep moving upward.
But how do we actually put all of this into practice in our everyday lives? That's a good place to pick up when we come back for our final segment. Okay, we're back. And I'm thinking about all the stuff we've been talking about, faith and resilience, but how do we actually use it, this ladder of faith, in our real everyday lives?
It's a great question, right? Getting down to the practical stuff. And one thing I think is super important to remember, faith doesn't require us to be perfect.
Oh, thank goodness. Because I am definitely a work in progress, let's be real.
We all are, right? Nobody's got it all figured out. It's about making progress, not being perfect.
So it's okay to mess up, to have doubts, to question things?
Absolutely. It's all part of the journey. In fact, those moments where we question things, they can actually make our faith stronger in the long run.
Because we have to dig deeper, figure out what we really believe and why, right?
Exactly. It's like the harder the climb, the stronger we get.
So for anyone listening who's feeling lost or discouraged or maybe just stuck on that ladder, what's a good first step to take?
Remember what we talked about? Action. That idea that faith without works is dead. So what's one small thing you can do today that aligns with what you believe in, with that sense of purpose?
I love that. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. Could be reaching out to a friend who's having a hard time, or volunteering somewhere, or just taking a few minutes to quiet your mind and connect with yourself.
Any action, even a small one, it creates this ripple effect.
And those ripples can turn into big waves, right?
Yeah.
Changing ourselves and the world around us.
That's it. Another thing that's really powerful, practicing gratitude.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about gratitude. It's easy to get caught up in the negative stuff, though, isn't it?
It is. It's human nature.
Yeah.
But when we focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our whole perspective.
Like keeping a gratitude journal, those things people talk about.
Exactly. Sounds simple, but it's super powerful.
It helps us see the good even when things are tough, which then strengthens our faith, right? That belief that there's a bigger plan even when we can't see it.
Instead of focusing on what's wrong, we choose to focus on what's good, what brings us joy.
Okay, so we're wrapping up our deep dive here. What's one last piece of advice you'd give to folks who are ready to start climbing that ladder of faith?
Be patient with yourself. This isn't a race, it's a journey.
Oh, I needed to hear that.
There'll be ups and downs, twists and turns. You'll have doubts. You'll have moments of clarity. It's all part of it.
Definitely not a straight shot to the top.
But the important thing is to keep moving forward, one step at a time, trusting that even when we can't see the path, we're being guided.
Because this whole journey of faith, it's about finding our way back to who we really are, right?
To that place of peace, of connection, of love.
That's definitely a journey worth taking, wherever you are on the ladder.
Don't forget the Tebbs family, their story, and those powerful questions Elder Kacher asked. Let those guide you in your thinking and your actions.
Well, that's it for our deep dive today. I hope everyone's feeling a little more hopeful, maybe a bit inspired.
And that you're remembering
Right.
faith, whatever that looks like for you, it can give you so much strength and resilience for all of life's challenges.
So keep climbing, keep seeking, and keep believing. Don't ever give up on yourself or the power of faith to change your life. And for all of us here at the Deep Dive, we'll see you next time.
Keep exploring, everyone, and never stop questioning.